you know who made it.
See Me, Be Me podcast, Paulette. So can you tell us who you are, where you come from, and how did you get started in the world of being an entrepreneur and a leader in the Industry 4.0 tech space?
My name is Paulette Watson. I'm a global tech disruptor, managing director for Academy Achievers. We work with children and young people who are disaffected, disadvantaged, and experience real trauma and come from marginalized communities. And we specialize in science, technology, engineering, and maths, and also Web3 activities. I got into STEM really into tech really because my daughter. So I got it from a very, very early age. My father inspired me. He was my role model. He was a mathematician, plus he was an engineer. And Henry, I absolutely adored. My dad was my biggest hero, yeah. And I just loved tech. I loved science and I loved maths, okay? Even though, like, when Dad used to ask us about our times table, I used to get really, really scared. I'm like, oh my God, you don't know it. But it's something that as a child, when we used to do like problem solving and Dad used to give us riddles, it was something that I really wanted to be able to solve a problem. And that's what really, sparked my interest. And then at school, I realized that I've always loved computers. I was always in the computer room. And remember, well, my age, you're a bit younger than me, but I remember when I was at schools in the 80s and we had these massive computers, like going into these rooms. I'm like, oh my God, they're so big, they're bigger than me. But I was like intrigued by it. I loved business studies. Even though my business studies teacher told me that I'll work in Woolworths, but that's a story for another time. And because I wanted to do so much in tech and computing at the time I really wanted and having the aspirations from my father. I got the opportunity to go to university, but I fell pregnant. And I got a job within one of the international banking, doing a lot of work with foreign exchange, money marketing, contracts, and also doing some analysis involving like data science and computing. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. But being a mum at the time, a single parent mum, I just couldn't handle the pressures of the boys. They used to go to the pubs, hang out, and I couldn't do that. So what that led me to set up the Academy Achievers, having Simone at a very, very young age. I knew that I was coming on late. And even though I enjoyed my job, I just couldn't be that mum and be there for my child. So what that did is made me go on to become her teacher, a computer science teacher, to be able to support my passion in computing. And then that's when the Academy Achievers was birthed.
Mike, just following on from what you were saying, Paulette, about you work with Academy Achievers. What makes you passionate about what you do?
Okay, so firstly, my father, because he was such an influential and key person in our lives. Secondly, having my daughter and seeing that the challenges, one, as a Black woman, I didn't want my daughter to go through that. So being her role model, her teacher, her friend, her mentor, I recognized that even though I was in her life and I was able to empower her, and she did exceptionally well because she saw what good looked like. She saw that I did my master's in computing. She saw that I did my MBA, and she was able to replicate that and not have that issue to deal with, imposter syndrome, because she saw representation throughout the family. The Be Me District Inclusion aims to raise 1 million Black women and girls' aspiration in STEM and Web3 related careers. You know, and I know about the digital skills gap. We want to close that. And we know that Black women are, especially from COVID, we are impacted further. We were impacted before. We're disadvantaged. The inequality was there before. So my passion rises from the fact that I'm a Black woman. I've been through this systemic racism, especially when you look through the lens of intersectionality, my disability, my gender, my race, my religion. I mean, I could go on and on. And then you look at the issues around the wealth gap, the payment gap, the earnings gap, the educational investment gap. I mean, mental health, housing gap. Black women are at the bottom. So that's where my passion comes from, Blair. My passion is, I don't want another Black girl to go through this. I'm creating a 500 years legacy, where we are included. You understand, in terms of the World Economic Forum, they're going to create 295 million AI robotic jobs. Because of COVID, Black women have been displaced. We
Yeah.
cannot be left behind. And that's why the Be Me Digital Inclusion aims to readdress that. We offer different programs and projects. I'm sure you're going to probably ask me about that, but that is where my passion comes from. We are not getting left behind.
I did want to ask about the BME, the digital inclusion program. Just very interesting. Working, it's over 1 million black girls, was it?
Well, yeah, that's it. Well, it's 1 million, but yeah, we take that over 1 million definitely because it's needed. And what that looks at is developing women in terms of their training, the technical training, right, Blair? But it's not just about teaching them how to, okay, they learn how to do to create website, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python. But with my background as a computer science, I don't want my women just to code. I want them to be the one to develop the algorithms so we can disrupt the oppressive algorithms. That's why they call me the disruptor in AI. Okay, we understand the challenges, the unconscious, the unrealistic, but no, I want them at the design. Yeah, I want them to design it. I want them to write the AI code so it does not discriminate against them.
Yeah.
Okay, so once we have that, the technical aspect of it, we get them to do projects because a lot of these, there's a lot of programs going on where they're doing the training, but what's happening, they're still not getting the job. So there's still a gap.
Yeah.
Whereas we have a really good relationship with our tech partners and we are teaching our girls to develop their programs. But like I said, the technical aspect, we've got that right. But in terms of our mentoring, we are supporting them in terms of a holistic approach. Now, my girls see me, I'm a Black woman. Okay, and I'm talking about the challenges. A lot of the girls, we grew up in church. A lot of the girls we come from the Caribbean community. We talk a certain way. There's certain mannerism that we have that they recognize that. So when they see me and they see, well, that's what my mom does, that's what my grandmother does. It's relatable. And any problems that we have in terms of trying to solve climate change, we localize it so they understand it. We've just done a project with KPMG where the girls went to the offices and we did something on ESG. Girls were like, Paulette, what's ESG? Come on, do some research. They did that and they got involved with the conversation. We had a fantastic time. So we're getting them involved. We're dealing with, like I said, the holistic approach. So technical, mental health. We're dealing with them in terms of how do they develop their soft skills, so it's transferable, communicating, listening, being respectful, being tolerant. How do you understand and how do you ask questions? How do you make people feel inclusive? Because I'm different, because I'm a Black person, or I could have my sexuality could be different to yours. What does that mean? We have to be digital citizens. We have to be respectable. We have to ensure that no one feels unwelcome. We have to create a safe environment. So that's what our Be Me program is about. It's building our community. Yeah, it's making everyone be co-designers. So it's not just Paulette writing this by myself. I'm working with my young women, working with their mums, I'm working with their dad. I also got white men who are supporting me 100%. They're backing me. Okay, I got white women that I support because they understand the call. This is a call that we have to work collaboratively to create a collective impact.
When you're speaking to some of these young Black girls, when they're beginning, let's say, their journeys in terms of wanting to go into careers within STEM, do they almost, because, with the way things are at the moment, they're not a lot of younger Black people are encouraged to go into careers within STEM. So does it take, a lot of, well, not necessarily like convincing, but is it hard to get them into that stage in terms of wanting a career in STEM, or are you finding more young Black girls are now more motivated to go into this as a career path?
Excellent question. So just to give you a background context of this, when I used to teach computing science, I became qualified in 2003, my girls were getting A's and A stars. So I don't know what happened from when they left me to go to college I'm trying to understand. Now that I'm doing this Be Me Digital Inclusion program, I'm talking to some of the girls. They're like, the same, Miss, we've never heard of STEM. That's what you're talking about. Miss, we don't know what it is. So when I go in there, what I do, I personalize what STEM is. I ask them, what is it that they want to get involved? Well, I don't want to give you too much of my secrets, but I use my teaching techniques and I use me as a person to try and make them understand that STEM is not separate. It underpins society. It underpins our everyday lives. And when I explain that to them with my stories and the resources that I have, the girl says, okay. So we go in and they don't know what STEM is. By the end of the day, they know what STEM is. And a lot of them want to do AI. A lot of them want to be a bioengineer. A lot of them want to get to chemical engineering. A lot of them want to go into constructions. a lot of them want to build bridges. They're like, Miss, we didn't know all this. We didn't understand. Like, even though we know that, a lot of them saying that Web3 is dead, I disagree. But when I started to explain to them what the metaverse was, what NFTs were, what Ethereum was, what smart contract, they were like, Miss, we didn't get it, but we do. And I explained to them about an avatar, how they can make money. They're like, we've got a letter saying, Miss, when you came, we thought you just come to do another boring old Black History Month talk. But when you spoke about the Web3 and how we can get involved and how we are the future, he said, so I may never get into tech, but I tell you what, Miss, what you did, you sparked something in me, and I want to set up my own business. I want to become an entrepreneur. It's down to the person that's delivering it. Okay, I have a passion. I've created a culture that no matter what, our girls are not getting left behind, and they are going to get involved one way or the other. It's not rocket science. They will get involved, and we need all hands on deck, as Michelle Obama said, because I can't do this inside. I cannot do it alone. I have to work with you guys. I have to understand your perspective so you could talk to my girls. Yeah, because you may look at it differently from me, and they might like, I like the way Blair said, I like the way Lala said it. Let's have a look at it that way.
Well, no, what you just said echoes the Blair Project's statement. Like, we have a saying that no one person can create success on their own. It takes a winning team and helping hands, and it's that spirit of collaboration. And also, we had a mini chat offline about, talk about Africa, and it's especially like Rwanda is like it's a tech booming country.
Yes.
Is there a difference with the training programs that you deliver to young Black girls here compared to delivering those tech programs out in Ghana or Rwanda? Is there a major difference in terms of the girls that you're training? And then I suppose one that the audience might want to hear is, what does an average day look like for Paulette Watson?
God, that's a very good. I mean, your questions are on fire today. Regarding the African continent, the young people there, they are phenomenal. I don't know what to say. The talent is, when someone is so talented, you're like, wow. Your brain starts to think. Well, I could just imagine the Blair Project, like, what is this? You'd be like, booming. That's how it is in Africa, especially in Ghana. So the programs are tailor-made, so it's personalized. That's why I know you guys. I understand that we will probably singing from the same hymn sheet, because you get it, and that's why you asked that question. So some of the programs has to be tweaked only because of we live in a different climate, we live in a different environment. It's different. The attitudes are different, so we have to tailor make it to them, or because they don't really understand the culture back in the UK, and the UK wouldn't understand, and I think that would be unfair to expect them to do that. I think if they understand, if we create something, our program is created, and they're able to thrive, because what they're good at solving problems, especially around green technology, especially around climate. They've just got the knack. I mean, they really are. They've been VC contribution, and they're doing exceptionally well. I'm doing a keynote speech about looking at digital sustainability and the future of work for young Ghanaians, and what I'm seeing is mind blowing. So what does my day look like? Thank God for my team. I have an executive assistant. I have a PA. I have a coordinator. I have a program manager. I have an operations director. We are growing, and we're having people coming saying, Paulette, how can I get involved? And I'm like, I don't know. But they're all answering to the call. Like Black women saying, it's like an army. Black women saying, no, how can we help? Black women are saying, how can I? And let me just add, when we did our Be Me, the pilot run, it was white men who were mentors. And it was interesting because the white man was saying, Paulette, it's like, we don't know what to do. I said, you do. We're going to train you. And when they done the mentoring, if you saw how the girls were so, at first the girls were like, really? We don't want to do this. They didn't want to do it. And they started to listen to the journeys of these mentors. It was so nice to see how they bond. And they were like, they really got on. But this time around, we've got more Black women who are saying, we want to be part of building this. Okay, I know, right? And I think it's very, very important, Black women helping to build this, because a lot of them saying, oh, we don't have tech experiences. It's not about that. Some of you are leaders, you have strategic experience, you have financial, you have risk management, you're good communicators. Some of you are good at writing pitch deck, you're entrepreneurs. All that contributes to building this ecosystem. So that's the day in my life. I mean, I get up, I go to the gym, I get up, it's really about developing a strategic plan. We're currently doing our AI strategic plan. I do a lot of speaking engagements, and we do a lot of onboarding. That helps, continuous training, and we find that really beneficial. And we're up to date, and we use all the digital tools, and it's really efficient, and we're growing. We're online.
You mentioned AI. Is it going to be a good thing, or is it going to be a concern for society?
If we use it ethically, it can be a very good thing, and we've got the right actors. So that's why the BME is creating the right actors to be the one to create the algorithmic code. If they create it, then it will be fair. It will be fairer. It can't just be one particular group of people controlling that. If it is, then it's a big concern, because what's going to happen is going to reproduce the same inequalities, same discrimination that we've been experiencing for the last 100 or 200 years. So unless we have the right players and the right actors, then it's ethical, and I'm happy about that.
Really inspired by like story and like influencing like young Black women. But in the UK, we always hear about like organisations, talking about diversity and inclusion. But from my personal view, I think more can be done. What advice would you give to organisations that are looking to increase like diversity and inclusion within the workplace?
So my advice would really be is set up around like a resource group where you're like a committee where we have the right people, like I said, the right actors there. It can't be an imbalance. You do need women that look like the people that you want to make that safe place. Having the correct actors, like the co-designers, to hear about in terms of understand their culture. Yeah, because we know that the organization has a business culture, but how does that align with the people that are working with you? So let me give you an example. When I used to work in a school, it was particularly predominantly a Muslim community. And something as simple as this, and I adopted it for my organization. In the toilets, you know when you're on toilet, you've got the water, the abini. Yeah. And they had incorporated that in all of the toilets. I just thought that was magnificent. I just thought, wow. And they had their own personal space. When I did my event, when I was to do our community event, I made sure that because we were based in Newham, that our staff had a lot of, they had the opportunity to just go and pray. So we set up a room where they were able to pray because we listened to our staff. So that's what I would say to corporates is stand who's in their work, who's in their organization.
Yeah.
What are the challenges? Some of the women that attend may have young children. Okay, so that may cause them to work late. That may have an impact because they're coming late. With women, we like to panic when we're late because we like to be on time. I would also suggest with organizations to make sure that they have training to ensure that women feel that they are being updated, having more representation of role models or Black women in particular roles, make sure that their leadership team is balanced to represent the workforce. So it can't be too top heavy, making sure that any issues to do with microaggression is stamped out. What does that look like? Have difficult conversations. All of the tech partners that we work with, we have difficult conversations and we understand each other. For grassroots organizations and for schools, what we do, we support in terms of hair discrimination, and look at how we can help them in terms of create or rewrite their policies, because a lot of the young Black girls especially don't feel included. They feel that they're being bullied or victimized when it comes to their hair. For the grassroots community, grow ups, what we do, we offer training and we look at, okay, what does the D&I policy look like? How can we ensure that it fits each of our different communities? So where we are based, some of us may be in Newham, we could be in Lewisham, we could be in Enfield. There's so many different people in different communities, especially at Newham. It's a diverse community. There's so many different people that we have to make sure that we cater for. So we have to have that representation on our board or within our community, within our committees, to make sure that we hear what the challenges are and incorporate into our policies so they can feel included.
How was it in terms of your journey from starting out in the software development world to then, becoming an entrepreneur and now managing a team of people? How was it for you, that transition of being solely tech, coding, software focused to then being a business leader?
Absolutely. Niall, it was a challenge. Being a single Black parent mother with microaggression, my hair in locks, not being accepted. I had to take on voluntary opportunities. I was a NED, I was a director, I was a vice chair for a council dealing with D&I. I had to be picking up my daughter back and forth. I was always a person, they say I had the gift of the gab because I would talk for Britain, but it was a challenge. And every time I met up with conflict, and it's like, how do I deal with that? And it was hard. And I write about this in my book. I write about every single place that I worked at, every experiences, I've documented it. How did I overcome it really? Persevered. I realized that failure only occurs when you give up. And I didn't get to where I am because of nepotism. I fell on my face, but I just got back up. I did everything. I remember I got a job in an organization as a NED. It's the only NED job, so you can get the name if you want to. And I remember the chair said to me, he interviewed me 5 times. And he said to me, Paulette, this is what he said. He goes, you are a jack of all trade, master of none. And I replied, I said, the reason why I'm the jack of all trade, because I never got the opportunity. I had to learn everything to be able to support and build my empire, because I never got access. And because of that, at first he made it seem like it was a bad thing, but actually now they're telling people that we do need to have an idea of everything in order to be successful. And because I know about finance, I sat as a chair, I know about D&I know about the tech, I know how to be an entrepreneur, I know how to write pitch deck, I understand about the market value, the TAM, the SOM, and the SAM. I get it. I understand it now. And because I understand it, I'm able to get the right players to support me, and they can't put the wool over my eye. I understand about social media. I did a course in everything because I just didn't get access. And that's how I'm able to juggle being an entrepreneur, being a managing director of a whole organization, because the two, I'm like, Paula, you're crazy. How are you managing to in terms of the interrelation to be able to be a managing director, the never be an entrepreneur, doing funding application. I was doing funding applications out of my ears. I mean, I went to community leaders to say, how are you doing this? Then I just said, let's do this. Let's try corporate. And corporate has seemed a bit more better. And now we're looking at income generation, because we've decided that actually, if they decide not to give us no money, we want to be sustainable. And that's what we're looking at, is being sustainable.
Yeah, it sounds like your business is going from strength to strength each year, just getting more and more successful. But what I should just ask, in terms of, let's say, the next 5 or 10 years, in terms of it, I guess, leaving a legacy behind, how would you like people to remember Paulette Watson?
The program ends 2030 because it relates to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah.
The legacy I want people to remember me for is the disruptor in tech. I didn't allow it to be like a wall to be covered over our eyes, and for us to just skate through just learning the basic of tech. I want us to be the disruptors moving forward. So I want people to remember me as the woman that Paulette wasn't playing. She went in deep. She wanted the young people not to just play the games, but to create the games. So that's how I wanted to remember it. And that I was able to close the digital skills gap, but from a holistic approach, the wealth gap, the earning gap, educational achievement gap, health, housing gaps, mental health, all those gaps. I want to be able to say that because she disrupted the plain level field, she created a pipeline of Black women talent, and also boys, because it's inclusive.
And this one's kind of another personal one, but I'm sure, for any of the audience out there who are entrepreneurs, or, maybe one day want to go about setting up their own business, on that journey, there's highs, but there can be a lot of lows as well. So especially when the lows happen, what gives you the motivation to keep going during the hard times?
That failure only occurs when you give up. That it's okay. When things are not working out, it's fine. It just gets me back to the drawing board, and I just look at delivering differently. But what it does, it teaches me a lesson. Okay, because no one's perfect, and it'd be boring if we had a world that was perfect. I think what I do like now, I like the uncertainties, because I like to prepare for them. And our organization, we have developed an appetite for risk. So it's okay, it's okay, but we plan in advance for these risks to try and mitigate it. So what I would tell any person or entrepreneur starting out is this: plan for the uncertainties. Make sure that you've got your financial plan as well. Have money I would say anybody, make sure you've got a large sum of money, bootstrap. To do that before you start setting up your business and have a plan on how you're going to spend that. And then once you've got that 12 to 24 month plan, then you can look at how do we start planning to get more money, or how are we going to create an income generation plan, or we're going to get money from corporate or fundraising, how are we going to do that? But start with money with some financial backing first before you start with the zero.
And, if we could transport you back in time and you could talk to 7-year-old Paulette Watson, what piece of advice would you give her?
Just be you. Just be. Just be. I mean, I don't think I'll change anything, because I had a fantastic upbringing. I was very, very outspoken. When Miss Shipman told me that I'm going to work for Woolworths, I said, no, I'm not. I'm going to be a judge. And I'm glad I wasn't a judge. I'm glad. I'm glad that I've taken this route, because it's fun. Can you imagine now working for yourself and not having to deal with the nonsense at work? It's fun. Being able to look, our whole world has changed. We could work when we want, how we want. Look, we could do podcast interviews. I'm halfway across the world, and I'm talking to you like I'm in the same room. I would say to my younger self, just be you. Go out there and play in the park. Go out there, just laugh, belly laugh, and just be mischievous. That's what I would tell myself. But I would also say, have a plan as well. I'll definitely say have a health plan. Yeah, know what you're eating. Make sure you understand. You save a bit more. Even though I am good at saving and invest. I would probably have more of a career plan of how to get access to certain things. Yeah, and definitely would have said, I like reading, but I like reading. I remember my aunt, she used to read Mills and Boons. I didn't understand that, but I did like the American books and things on teenager love. I still love all those stuff. But now I read a lot of self-help books. I listen to a lot of Miles Monroe, Les Brown. I have a really good network of leaders. I've got a really good team, social team. So friends is key. My family, I love to bits. I love my daughter. Love God. I love butterfly. So yeah.
Now we're coming to the final part of the show, Paulette. We're going to the bonus question. So, right, if you could throw a dinner party tonight or tomorrow, and you can invite 4 people, dead or alive, who would you invite?
My dad, my daughter, and 2 of my close friends.
And then the final one is, if you could have a special ability or a superpower, which one would you choose?
It's a really good one. If I could, what could that be? To be able to multitask 100 times faster than what I'm doing now. That would be my superpower. I would be a ChatGPT or Threads. I would be one of them and be able to just do all these tasks at once. That would be my superpower.
But then you'd have 1 billion people. You'd have 1 billion people coming up to Paulette Watson asking her questions to tasks. Would you want that?
No, not asking me. No, let me just put it, not asking me, but being able to do the task. You understand?
Oh, being able to do it.
I would be able to do the task for myself. Yeah. That's what I would love. That would be a superpower.
I think you'd be a trillionaire in 2 days.
Can you imagine? Oh my goodness. No, this is serious. Can you imagine? Oh, wow.
Oh, brilliant. You know what? This has been a really great episode. Thank you so much, Paulette, for being a guest on the See Me Be Me podcast. And if people listening to this want to find out more about you or follow you on any social channels, where can they go to follow you on your journey or find out more about Academy Achievers?
Absolutely. Thank you. So let me start with Academy Achievers. You can go to our website, which is academyachievers.io. Really happy about that. So it's a new website. Or you can go to our Instagram, just type in Academy Achievers, Facebook, Academy Achievers 25. You go to Twitter, Academy Achievers, and LinkedIn. So those are the 5 key for Academy Achievers. So please come and visit us, comment, like, or if you want to just say hi to me, LinkedIn, Paulette Watson MBE.
But don't forget to plug the book. So what's the book called and when can people get it?
Okay. So I haven't got the name of the book, but it's coming out in September. It's coming out in September. But the book, oh gosh, it took me 18 months to do. Can you imagine? 18 months. And it was the hardest because I was every weekend literally writing a chapter. It's been sent back and I had to edit it. But it talks about my personal life journey. It talks about the state of STEM, how to encourage more Black women and girls into the industry. It talks about STEM education, it talks about health, talks about smart cities. It talks about my personal journey in terms of the microaggressions I felt, especially in education and in the financial sector. Also, it talks about how do we move forward with AI? Okay, how is it disruptive? Exactly what the question that you asked. I talk about it from an ethical point of view, and I talk about how it can be harmful. So I'm really excited about my book because it has been AI since 2005, and it's something that I've been really talking about. And literally everything that's happening now, I'm like, I spoke about this, and it's interesting to see the book that was written 18 months ago and all the discussions. It's I was too early. And I think that's where the struggle came by. And but now the book is timely, and it really talks about from a perspective of a Black woman. So when a Black woman reads it, she'd be able to say, actually, I can do this. I'm not afraid. I'm going to step forward because she did it. She looks like me. I can do it. I'm the representation. I am the role model. But the name, if you've got any suggestions for names, yeah, give me a name. But I'm excited about that journey, but apparently it won't take 18 months to come up with a name.
Well, no, again, I just want to reiterate, thank you, Paulette, for being a guest on the See Me BB, and stay tuned. I'm sure we're going to have her on the podcast some other time as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Take care.
no, Blair, thank you. Take care and all the best.
Thanks,
It's been a
Paulette.
pleasure. All right,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
You know who made it.